Hello! So as you must have noticed, January has basically come and just gone by. Just bye, girl. Yeah, so obviously I read some books during January, so I'm here to talk to you about them. Oh my god, as if you didn't know what a wrap-up was, for the love of God. Anyway, let's get into the books. So firstly, I finished History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I mentioned this in my December wrap-up because I was halfway through it, I believe, in December. And I also have a spoiler-free review for this up. Basically, it's one of the saddest, most beautiful books that I've ever read, and I would 100% recommend it. You should definitely check this out. And then the biannual bibliothon happened, and that seemed like a lot of fun, so I really wanted to participate. I made some videos for the challenges. If you want to check them out, I will link them down below. Shameless self-promo right there. So yeah, I obviously read some books for that as well, because it's a readathon. Why am I just explaining everything in this video? So the first book I checked out on audio was the group book, and that was Stalking Jack the Ripper. This follows our protagonist, Audrey Rose, I believe is her name, in Victorian London. She sort of works in a morgue type place with her uncle, and just revolts against the social standards that the Victorian era held for women, which I am always here for. And she gets involved in the Jack the Ripper murders in some way and just becomes obsessed with them, and that's sort of the premise of our story. I absolutely loved this book because it just takes the patriarchy and walks all over it. There are so many feminist themes I was living. It was action-packed. I liked the romance. The next book in the series will be set in Romania, which, I mean, homeland, represent. Yes, I'll be a bit more critical about it probably because of that. But yeah, besides that, I just really love the book. I guessed who the killer was from the very beginning, so that was like But I also just like suspected everyone throughout the book. I was like, okay, I think it's this guy, but also I think everyone else is shady, so honestly I don't know, better safe than sorry. I trust no one. So yeah, that was just a lot of fun, and it was very addicting, and I really enjoyed it. And the only other challenge that I managed to complete, because I'm trash and I'm terrible at readathons, was read a book that was recommended to you by someone else, and I read Sold to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. My friend Colleen just kept ranting about this book ages ago, and she was so in love with it and wanted everyone to read it. So I saw it in a charity bookshop like months ago, and I bought it and never got to reading it, so now was the perfect time. This is a historical fiction following the lives of some young adults during World War II, and they all come from very different backgrounds and have very different lives, and all their stories somehow intertwine, and it's so sad, but it's so beautifully written. It's so addicting. The chapters are all very short, so it's so easy to just like keep reading. It's just incredible. I feel like only one of the narrators I just could not stand for the death of me, but I did like all the other ones, which honestly is pretty great. I feel like I disliked 1 out of 4, so that's not half bad. I was crying reading this. I was crying reading the acknowledgements. It was just a phenomenal book, and I cannot possibly recommend it enough. If you didn't know, I'm a very big fan of the musical Wicked. I love it with my whole being. It's one of my all-time favorites. So knowing this, Colleen, again, I will link her down below so you can give her some love, because like she's my other half apparently. She had the book Wicked and didn't think she would ever get to reading it, so she just gave it to me because she's a great friend. Thank you, Colleen, if you're even watching. So yeah, this is sort of a origin story, alternate origin story for the Wicked Witch of West. Yeah, I adore the musical, but that is how I feel about the book. It was dreadful. The whole prologue part was like 100 pages, and it was so terrible. All I wanted was my alphabet, and I did not get that, like, at all, unless you count like a fetus form for like the first 100 pages. And I thought, all the characters were dreadful. The writing style was just so dense and so hard to get through. The world building was lacking, in my opinion. It was just not a good time at all. There were a lot of comments that I just did not agree with, and then finally, after about 100 pages, we do get to Elphaba and Glinda, and I was like, yes, finally. But not exactly digging it. I thought I would dig it, but the writing style was just so bad, and there were so many things where it just felt like there were so many comments that made it feel like it was just promoting male entitlement, and it felt very anti-feminist, and I was just not digging it. And then there was this very racist remark, and that is when I put the book down. I cannot deal with this. I do not need to put myself through 400 more pages of this. All the characters kept getting dreadful and more dreadful, and it was frustrating, and I just didn't want it to ruin my experience of listening to the musical soundtrack, which I do love, but it somehow has, and I'm just, I just would not recommend it, even not comparing it to the musical, which I feel like it's a bit impossible. But even if you don't compare it to the musical, it's a bad book. I'm not a fan. I'm not even the biggest fan of fantasy, and I think this is a bit of on the lower side of fantasy quality-wise. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, maybe just pick up something else. I then read We Come Apart by Sarah Crossan and some other dude, Brian Conahan. I got an arc for this from Eason's, and you know how I feel about this book as well? Yeah, it's even worse than the other one. So basically, this book focuses around this British girl that's like a rebel and like doing all the things she shouldn't be doing, and this Romanian immigrant boy that's like the most obnoxious, stereotypical, less likely to exist thing that could ever happen. And I was so mad because of this book. From one page in, I couldn't deal with it, and I somehow still put myself through the whole of it, which I hate myself for. Do you know how much precious time of my life I've wasted reading this piece of shit? Like, I feel bad calling things out this far, but it was a piece of crap. It made me feel like a piece of crap. I was the first person to give it a 1 star on Goodreads, and I was like, I don't want to be this person. But also, like, this was a piece of shit. I was not a fan. Basically, the Romanian kid is like so bad at English. Like, it's not even like a realistically terrible at English, because I know a lot of Romanian people that are terrible at English. But this was like, how can we possibly make him sound the dumbest ever and make it look like he literally has no knowledge of this language? And I was like, okay, I know that immigrants often do not have a full capacity to speak the new language perfectly, but I'm like, this is so insulting. I spent my whole life working my ass for a diploma of proficiency in the English language, and this is still how my people are seen. He is also expected to be married by 15. Honey, not even once in my life have I seen someone in my country be expected to be married by 15. They want to buy him a wife. Buy him a wife. Buy, like with money. What the bloody hell? Of course the father is abusive, and of course they make their existence selling iron. It's just so stereotypical and so terrible. And I get that they were trying to sort of achieve this idea that, oh my god, immigrants' life are so hard and they go through so many more things in certain situations than the native population, and it was a whole thing. I could almost see what they were trying to achieve, but like, nah man, it was so terribly just thought out. The characters were so boring, so flat. It felt like if I didn't know, it would have been like, oh, this is like the odd one out for the Brits, like this character, but obviously this other one is like the core representation of a Romanian. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I hope people don't actually believe this bullshit, because it's disgusting and it's disturbing, and I'm still insulted. I want to set that book on fire. Also, it was written in verse, which I didn't see the point of. The writing wasn't poetic, it didn't flow, it had no rhyme. It was just like put in verse to be edgy and funky, and it was just pointless. Anyway, after that sort of trauma, the universe just had to give me something nice. So I finally read The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon, and this is the story of our two protagonists, Natasha, who is an illegal Jamaican immigrant to the United States, and Daniel, who is an Asian American. This all takes course throughout one day, and it's beautiful. It's perfect. I don't know exactly how loyal it is to those two cultures, because obviously I'm not part of them. Nicola Yoon is actually Jamaican, I believe. I might be wrong, but yeah, she is a Jamaican immigrant, so I think this considers as own voices, maybe. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. It felt like such an authentic, respectful, beautiful book, and while I did think that it sort of went with these stereotypes for Asian Americans, I was like, it makes sense in this context. It's explained nicely. It's just so beautiful. I was so touched to read such a beautiful portrayal of the lives of immigrants after that piece of shit. I'm still not over that. And the characters themselves are polar opposites, but they're both so complex and so amazing in their own ways, and their dynamics are so beautiful, even though I found the romance to be a bit like extra and a bit rushed. But I'm an absolute cynic, and Nicola Yoon is an absolute romantic, so I can definitely see why I would think that. The writing style, again, so beautiful, so amazing. I finally understand why people really love Nicola Yoon and her writing and her books as much as they do, because it was so beautiful and poetic, and it had such a nice flow. Again, the chapters were so short that you could just keep reading, and it was amazing. You got so many more perspectives in the book from the parents or this random person that they met, and you got to see how everyone's lives sort of interlock and interfere with one another, and all the characters were so beautifully built and so complex, and you got to see so many different stories in one book, and it was just fantastic. It was an absolute masterpiece. I cannot believe how beautiful this book was, and it's definitely going to be one of my favorite books of 2017. Early to say that, I know. And also one of my favorite books of all time, because it's just a masterpiece. I then borrowed from my library, which I'm kind of obsessed with right now, not gonna lie, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. So sad, so powerful, so beautifully written. you all know who Anne Frank is, I assume. It was just so sad, and it's very relevant to our context right now. With this girl was like 15 and had the most beautiful writing that I have seen in my life. You saw her grow as a person and as a writer, and we could have had her as a writer nowadays had she not been refused being let into the country, which just so sad. And it makes you think about the past and how it plays in the present. And it's such a powerful read. So slow for me, I don't know why, but so powerful. Yeah, anyway, that was my last read of January 2017. Please do let me know what you read this month or if you've read any of these books, and I will see you later. Thank you for watching.